supposed to start with travel and distance. I live in West Berkshire. It's a beautiful part of the world. It's also fairly rural, so that does mean that we don't have a great deal of branches and centres nearby, so I'm used to travelling. Wherever I teach, it is travelling and it's driving, so I'll probably go, I suspect, anywhere that the branches in this room are covering. And I can do both days and evenings. I was a bit restricted on days this year, but I can do days and evenings going forward. My subject, something a little bit different, Egyptology, the study of the culture and history of ancient Egypt, primarily Pharaonic Egypt. My first career was in IT, and I still do a bit of IT consultancy, but I'm really focusing now on Egyptology. I run a local Ancient Egypt Society based in Reading, Thames Valley Ancient Egypt Society, and a trust that supports a dig on the west bank of Luxor that I'm a member of, that's led by Dr. Elena Bishkova. And I also do some postgraduate study at UCL. And of course, for the last 2 years, 18 months, 2 years, I think, since Jill first interviewed me, I've been teaching for the WEA in Reading, Goring, Gerrards Cross, over the last few years. So, I have a range of courses. By the way, I also brought a flyer. I printed some and Cynthia printed some, so we have lots of printouts, so please take one. The most popular course I do, and so far, if there was any wood I would touch it, it's got 100% run rate. It's a bit tight this year, but we just did it, is an introduction to ancient Egypt. And unless you've had other Egyptology tutors taking a subject before, I typically suggest that this is the best one to start with. You can start with one of the other courses, but this is the recommended one. And if you think about it, if you go to Egypt, you're taken to the pyramids, 2500, 2600 BC, depending on which chronology you subscribe to. A few days later, you're on a Nile cruise between Luxor and Aswan, and you're visiting Greco-Roman temples 2,500 years later. You've got a huge time span of cultural continuity over 3,000 years, but of course over that time you've also got significant developments. And so the basis of this course is really a chronology that goes from the early periods in Egyptian history to the formation of a united country, right through to the end of the New Kingdom towards the Greco-Roman period. And over this historical basis, we overlay things like art, things like artifacts and material culture, religion. And normally I take a week out around the middle of the course to focus on language and literature. I've just done that in Reading and in Gerrards Cross this year, and the students are really motivated because within one session you can actually read some pharaohs' names, which will help you if you're in a museum or if you're going to Egypt. You can actually at least get the name of the pharaoh that is responsible for what you were looking at, to